All right, Bills Mafia, buckle up, because today we're diving into one of those conversations that's been buzzing ever since training camp. Ray Davis or Ty Johnson as the true number 2 running back. On the surface, it sounds like a simple depth chart battle, but when you peel it back, this is less about labels and more about roles, matchups, and how the Bills want to attack defenses week to week. A lot of fans see the flash plays Ty Johnson puts on tape and wonder why he's not the automatic RB2. But the truth is, both he and Ray Davis are going to be important pieces in this offense. This isn't like deciding between a backup quarterback and a third stringer, where there's a strict pecking order. It's situational football. Ty Johnson gives you that veteran reliability on passing downs, the guy you trust to pick up blitzes, leak out for a catch, and keep the chains moving when you're in those critical third and medium situations. Ray Davis is more of a change of pace runner who can grind out yards and bring a different physical style. In most weeks, both are going to see somewhere between 20 and 30% of the snaps, and that's by design. The Bills aren't trying to shoehorn them into rigid categories. They're trying to use the right tool for the right job. Now, that whole conversation ties into something bigger about the philosophy of this offense. You can't just pound a rock to prove a point, and you can't drop back 50 times expecting the offensive line to hold up against these freak athletes on the other side of the ball. It's about balance, but not balance for the sake of symmetry. Balance for the sake of unpredictability. Last season, the Bills were near the bottom of the league in pass play percentage, meaning they were already leaning toward a run game when the situation called for it. They weren't running because Josh Allen couldn't sling it. They were running to make sure teams had to respect every part of the field. The more your offense can credibly threaten both the run and the pass, the harder you are to defend. That doesn't mean walking into a game with a magic number of passes you refuse to go over. It means taking what the defense gives you and punishing them for whatever they choose to take away. Some weeks, that's going to be a quick strike air attack. Other weeks, it's going to be leaning on the run until safeties start creeping up and then torching them over the top. Speaking of balance, there's been plenty of talk about the pistol formation becoming a bigger part of the playbook, and yeah, it should help the run game. It gives the back a better downhill angle while still allowing the quarterback to keep every passing option alive. But the pistol isn't a magic wand. What really matters is how you sequence plays, how you dress things up with motion, and how you force the defense to declare their intentions before the snap. The Bills already know that to keep Josh Allen at his best, you need to give him the full menu. That means James Cook as the feature back, Davis and Johnson splitting their specialty snaps, and the occasional designed run for Allen himself when the defense forgets he's a bulldozer with a cannon for an arm. While we're on the topic of philosophy, there's also been plenty of reaction to the NFL's new kickoff rules. Some people hate the look of it, think it feels gimmicky, or believe it's just another way to hand the offense a free boost in field position. But here's the deal. The league wanted kick returns back in the game, and they wanted them safer. The old setup with players flying at each other from 50 yards away was a concussion factory. Now the play is more condensed, the collisions are less violent, and you actually get to see returns again. The challenge for special teams units is simple. Cover the kick and tackle. Don't like seeing opponents start at the 35? Stop them. And that means returners need to make smart choices, too. Taking a knee and starting at the 35 is better than getting tackled at the 20. It's a situational decision, just like everything else in football. Defensively, a few concerns popped up after the preseason matchup with the Giants, especially about giving up third and long conversions. That was a sore spot last season, so seeing it happen again, even in August, naturally makes fans uneasy. But context matters. There was no game planning. Key defensive leaders, like the safeties and the Mike linebacker, weren't on the field. Preseason football isn't a crystal ball. The Bills know they have to fix the third down issues, but you can't declare a trend based on a vanilla game plan in the summer. Once the real bullets fly, that's when we'll know whether this defense has truly tightened up. Now, one of the less glamorous but super important parts of roster construction this time of year is the practice squad shuffle. For fans who wonder why it's so hard to stash young talent without losing them, welcome to life as a team with a deep roster. Not everyone clears waivers, and there's no more protecting practice squad players like there was during the COVID seasons. You've got 16 spots, 17 if you've got an international pathway player like Travis Clayton. 6 of those can be filled by veterans with at least 2 accrued seasons. If a guy's been in the league fewer than 4 accrued seasons, he has to pass through waivers before you can bring him back. More experienced players can sign straight to the squad. It's a constant chess game of balancing development with depth, and the reality is that when you're good, other teams are going to poach your young guys. It's the price of success. One player who's been part of a different kind of conversation lately is tight end Jackson Ha, a name that keeps getting tangled in the host's brain thanks to an old fantasy basketball habit involving a certain stretch big named Spencer Hawes. But here's what matters on the field. Ha brings a skill set that's different from just throwing in a 6th offensive lineman. He's a legit blocking tight end with more mobility, meaning he can pull, climb to the 2nd level, and still threaten as a receiver even if he's not exactly Travis Kelce out there. That forces defenses to account for him in ways they wouldn't if it were simply another lineman. On the flip side, going with that extra lineman gives you more brute force at the point of attack, but less range and basically 0 passing threat. Both packages have their place, and you can bet the Bills will use them both. And let's not forget about the defensive side's new wrinkle, 5-man pressures. That doesn't always mean a 5-man front, but it does mean sending one more rusher than your standard 4. You can bring an extra linebacker, a safety, even a corner if you want to get spicy. The idea is to force one-on-one blocking matchups across the board and stress the offense's protection calls. The downside is obvious. Fewer bodies in coverage, but if you can speed up the quarterback's clock and force mistakes, the trade-off is worth it. It's all about calculated aggression. Even beyond scheme, there's an energy shift that's hard to miss in camp. Defensive coaches tend to be louder, more animated, more in your face than their offensive counterparts. That's not just personality, it's the nature of defense. Offense is about executing something you've designed. Defense is about reacting, adapting, and often fighting through chaos. You're shedding blocks, chasing ball carriers, and trying to impose your will on someone who desperately wants to avoid you. That mindset demands a different kind of edge, and it shows in the way defensive coaches get after their guys in practice. So as this camp and preseason roll on, the bigger picture for the Bills is starting to come into focus. The running back rotation isn't about titles, it's about roles. The run-pass balance isn't about symmetry. It's about being dangerous in every way possible. The new special teams rules aren't a gift, they're a challenge. The defensive tweaks aren't gimmicks, they're tools. And the practice squad isn't a safety net. It's a high-wire act where one wrong move means losing a player you've invested in. This is the NFL in 2025. Every edge matters. Every snap is a puzzle. And the best teams are the ones that can adapt on the fly without losing sight of who they are. The Bills know exactly what they want to be. They just have to keep building toward it, one rep, one adjustment, one roll at a time. When you start digging into this Bills roster beyond the big headlines, you realize just how much of the 2025 season is going to be about fine margins and adaptability. Take Josh Allen's accuracy in camp, for example. People are watching practice and remembering last year, when Allen seemed untouchable day after day. But that might have been more about what the defense wasn't doing than what Allen was. This year, the defense is punching back. You're seeing days where Allen still looks sharp, threading passes into tight windows, hitting deep shots in stride. But you're also seeing the defense win their share of reps. That back and forth is exactly what you want if you're trying to sharpen a team for a deep playoff run. If your quarterback is cruising through camp without resistance, you might be setting yourself up for trouble when the real games start and opponents bring looks you haven't been tested against. This summer, the resistance is there, and it's making both sides better. That competitive push is part of why the Bills feel more layered than they did a year ago. The offensive staff can throw out more personnel groupings without tipping their hand. The defense can disguise pressures in ways that force quarterbacks to guess wrong. Even special teams is evolving, and not just because of the league's rule changes. Every return, every coverage lane, every decision is part of a larger puzzle. You can hear it in the way coaches talk about situational football. It's not just a cliche. When your special teams unit understands the math of field position, it can swing games just as much as a red zone touchdown or a third down stop. And speaking of those stops, the defense's third down identity is going to be one of the biggest stories of the season. Last year's issues on long yardage situations weren't just about coverage breakdowns. They were about communication, personnel usage, and, at times, pass rush lanes collapsing in the wrong direction. In camp this year, there's a clear emphasis on tightening those screws. You've got safeties who are more comfortable with the calls, linebackers who are diagnosing quicker, and a pass rush rotation that's deeper than it was a year ago. But again, it's one thing to see in practice or even in a preseason game. It's another to do it in a January playoff drive with the season on the line. That's where the mental reps in August pay off, when the opponent lines up in a look you've drilled 100 times and the reaction is instant, not hesitant. On the offensive side, there's a quiet confidence about how the line is gelling. The unit has been tested with different fronts in practice, and that's been by design. You want your guys to see everything: double A-gap blitzes, wide nine rushers, simulated pressures, because the more they've handled it in camp, the more likely they are to keep Allen upright when it counts. The chemistry between linemen is one of those things you can't fake. It comes from thousands of reps and the unspoken understanding of how the guy next to you is going to react when the pocket starts to bend. That's also why those sixth offensive lineman sets or heavy tight end looks are valuable. They force the defense into heavier personnel, and they give you more combinations to attack with in the run game or play action. Now, that leads right back to someone like Jackson Haw. His presence means you can line up in something that looks run-heavy, but still leak him into the flat or up the seam for a quick hitter. Even if he's not catching 5 balls a game, the fact that defenses have to honor the possibility opens space for other routes. It's a chess move that forces the other side to commit to either defending the run with numbers or respecting the pass enough to hold safeties back. Every time you make a defensive coordinator hesitate, you've already stolen a piece of the advantage. And then there's the running back rotation, still one of the most fascinating roster conversations. The idea of splitting specific roles instead of having a clear RB2 might frustrate fantasy football managers, but it's exactly what makes sense for a team built to win the real world. Davis can pound inside against lighter boxes, and we're down a defense, while Johnson can be deployed in those crucial passing downs where one blown blitz pickup could wreck a drive. Both can play off James Cook, who's developing into a legitimate feature back, not just a gadget player. When you've got 3 backs who can contribute in different ways, it's about blending them into a game plan that keeps defenses guessing. The other side of the ball is embracing its own version of role specialization. Those 5-man pressures we talked about earlier aren't just for show. They're designed to force the offense into protection rules that can be exploited. One snap, you might see a nickel corner screaming off the edge. The next, it's a middle linebacker timing a rush right as the ball is snapped. It's about variety, but it's also about discipline. Send 5, and you're trusting the back-end coverage to hold up with fewer bodies. That's where the confidence in the secondary comes into play. Even without both starting safeties in certain preseason looks, the defense has shown it can rotate in younger guys and still execute. And you can't overlook the mentality shift that comes from having a defensive coordinator like Bobby Babich bring that vocal, high-energy style. There's an intensity that seeps into the way the defense practices, and it's infectious. Guys rally to that energy. They're barking after a big stop, chirping in one-on-one drills, and generally keeping the competitive edge sharp. The offense feels it too. There's a pride in winning reps against a defense that isn't taking a single snap off. When that dynamic carries into the regular season, it raises the ceiling for the whole team. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. The sports world in the United States has been set abuzz with an unexpected announcement that has sent shockwaves through NFL circles and beyond. The Buffalo Bills, a team known for their strategic moves and passionate fan base, have reportedly made a stunning bid to acquire British star EFE OBADA, currently making waves with the Washington Commanders. This development, still surrounded by whispers and speculation, could signify a monumental shift not only for the Bills, but for the NFL's growing international appeal. OBADA's journey from London to the professional gridiron has been nothing short of inspirational, making him one of the most captivating players bridging European talent with American football. Industry insiders suggest that the Bills' move is part of a larger plan to strengthen their roster with diverse, international stars capable of elevating the team's performance and marketability. While official confirmation remains pending, sources close to the situation hint that negotiations have progressed far enough to anticipate a significant announcement soon. Fans and analysts alike are debating what this transfer could mean, not just for the Bills lineup, but for the entire league's approach to recruiting global talent. The possibility of EFE OBADA donning the Bills jersey is generating immense excitement and setting the stage for what could be one of the most talked-about acquisitions in recent NFL history. Rumors swirling around the NFL landscape suggest that EFE OBADA's potential move to the Buffalo Bills might be a strategic masterstroke aimed at revitalizing the team's defense and adding an international flair to their squad. OBADA, who has earned recognition for his versatility and relentless work ethic, has emerged as one of the most compelling British athletes in the NFL, capturing the hearts of fans across continents. The prospect of the Bills securing such a distinctive player is fueling speculation about the team's ambitions to not only compete at the highest level, but to also expand their brand globally. Observers note that OBADA's presence could provide the Bills with a unique edge, blending raw talent with a backstory that resonates far beyond the traditional American football fan base. This move, if confirmed, might also reflect a broader NFL trend of embracing international players who bring new energy and perspectives to the league. Conversations within sports media circles emphasize how OBADA's signing could pave the way for increased European interest in the NFL, possibly influencing future drafts and scouting priorities. As the rumor mill intensifies, many are keenly watching to see how this narrative unfolds and whether Buffalo will officially clinch one of the most intriguing talents currently active in the league. Speculation about EFE OBADA joining the Buffalo Bills has ignited a whirlwind of discussions among sports commentators and fans eager to decode the potential impact of this acquisition. OBADA's rise from relative obscurity in the UK to becoming a key defensive asset for the Washington Commanders has been closely followed by those tracking international talent, making waves in the NFL. The possibility of him switching allegiances to Buffalo is viewed by some as a testament to the Bills' aggressive recruitment strategies and their desire to inject fresh dynamism into their roster. Analysts argue that OBADA's skill set, marked by his speed, strength, and adaptability, could significantly bolster the Bills' defensive line, helping them contend more fiercely in an increasingly competitive league. The excitement surrounding this rumored move also reflects a growing appetite for diverse player backgrounds, with OBADA representing a symbol of perseverance and cross-cultural success. Furthermore, the speculation is fueling a broader narrative about the evolving identity of the NFL, which is no longer confined to American borders, but is becoming a truly global sport. Should the deal come to fruition, it would underscore the Bills' forward-thinking approach and potentially open doors for more British and European athletes aiming to make their mark on the NFL stage. Within the NFL community, whispers about the Buffalo Bills' interest in EFE OBADA are generating an electric atmosphere, with supporters eager to see how this possible transfer could reshape team dynamics and league trends. OBADA's journey, from his early days in London's less prominent football circles to becoming a standout player for the Washington Commanders, encapsulates the increasingly international nature of the sport. The rumor suggests that Buffalo sees in OBADA not only a player with impressive physical attributes, but also a marketing magnet capable of drawing new fans from across the Atlantic. The significance of this potential signing extends beyond the field. It could represent a cultural bridge, highlighting the NFL's expansion efforts and the growing influence of European talent. Media outlets speculate that this could be just the beginning of a new wave of international acquisitions, signaling a shift in how teams scout and develop players. The anticipation is building as insiders hint at ongoing negotiations and possible contract terms that would make OBADA one of the highest-profile British players in NFL history. For Buffalo fans, This prospect stirs hope of enhanced competitiveness and a fresh narrative that transcends traditional league storylines, emphasizing global connection and athletic excellence. The possibility of EFE OBADA joining the Buffalo Bills is stirring intense debate and enthusiasm among football aficionados, sports journalists, and casual observers alike, reflecting the broader transformations underway in professional American football. OBADA's reputation as a tenacious and skilled defensive player has grown steadily, making him a coveted asset whose rumored transfer to Buffalo could represent a landmark moment for both the player and the team. This speculative move is being interpreted as a strategic push by the Bills to innovate their squad composition by integrating diverse talents capable of challenging conventional norms. Fans are imagining how OBADA's unique background and athletic prowess might complement the Bills' existing lineup, potentially leading to a more dynamic and unpredictable style of play. The ongoing buzz also touches on the symbolic weight of this acquisition, as it could further legitimize the NFL's global ambitions and encourage other franchises to look beyond traditional recruiting pools. As this rumor gains momentum, it exemplifies the exciting uncertainties that characterize sports transfers, where a single move can reshape narratives and inspire new levels of fan engagement. Should this deal materialize, it would not only mark a milestone for OBADA, but could also herald a new era of international influence within the fiercely competitive realm of American football. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.